This video is going to be far less scripted than my previous ones. This is just going to be a quick little video about how I feel about all the gameplay and details that have been shared about Payday 3 so far. This video will be split up into sections, so if you want to skip ahead to the part you want to hear about, feel free to do so. Loud gameplay. Teamwork is back, which is a nice thing to see. This is a cooperative shooter franchise, and that's something that really took a back seat in Payday 2 compared to Payday the Heist. So it's good that teamwork and having to work together to get through a mission is back. Spotting cops and keeping track of them has taken much more priority, along with the addition of a ping system. It's a interesting evolution and makes sense from a gameplay standpoint. If you are just 4 guys, you'd probably want to know where the police force is coming to try to flank you. So it's a nice thing to see. Cops having the same health on all difficulties. It sounds so simple and obvious when I say it out loud, but it's something revolutionary for balancing Payday, and I'm glad that it's been done. I'm very happy to hear that. Difficulties. And on launch, there's only going to be about 4 or so. There's going to be normal, hard, very hard, and overkill. And they did talk about adding more difficulties post-launch. And I wouldn't go crazy with it. I think that those 4 difficulties are fine for where Payday is. Just sort of like as a reputation of Payday being this, hard as nails game that'll kick you into shape, along with having a nice build up to difficulty. In Payday the Heist, there were 4 difficulties. Well, I think there was 5. There was easy, normal, hard, and overkill, and then there was Overkill 145, which I think that this game is taking a lot of inspiration from Payday the Heist, which is a great thing to hear, because I think Payday the Heist is a much more tight-knit, more solid game compared to Payday 2, where it just sort of ballooned out into this sort of big, it ballooned out into Payday 2, which is nice. Which is nice to see that they're sort of making it much more of a smaller, more focused scope. If they're gonna add any more difficulties, I think you'd pretty much only need one, and I'd say make it death sentence. Yes, I know we lose Mayhem and Death Wish, and there was a whole trailer for Death Wish, but I think just with the reputation that it has, I think death sentence, or you can call it Death Wish if you want, death sentence as a 5th difficulty to sort of cap it off, and this is the hardest one, is fine. Payday 3 is very much a mix of Payday the Heist and Payday 2, which is a wonderful thing to see, where, at least at launch, the heists will be more substance over quantity, where there's only going to be 8 heists at launch, but they're going to be more robust heists that can be played over and over again, like Payday the Heist, where you had First World Bank and Heat Street and Panic Room and all that, compared to Payday 2, where it just had 3 versions of the same bank, and then a jewelry store, and then eventually rats and big oil. But those weren't on the same level as the heist from Payday the Heist, so it's nice to see that they're really sort of know the direction that they're going in and how much they want to take from both games. The handgun slot is back from Payday the Heist, which is something I'm thrilled to see. I think, any robber worth his salt would always bring a pistol with him, by default, just everywhere. So I'm glad to see that that's something that's come over. New change, SMGs are primaries now, which, I don't know how I feel about it. I guess it could work. I guess it does work. I know the only other franchise that comes to mind that does that is Call of Duty, which there is a good amount of sort of COD DNA in this, which I don't hate. I think it looks good in the gameplay. But at the beginning of this franchise, I was over a decade ago now, and SMGs have always been a secondary weapon, even in Payday the Heist, there was your primary, secondary, and then handgun. In Payday 2, all SMGs were just made secondaries, including all pistols and SMGs were made secondaries. So it's an interesting development. I'm not opposed to it. I just want to see how it plays out. That's what I'm more curious to see. I'm willing to wait off and see how that plays out. Okay. The third weapon slot and Overkill Weapons. Overkill Weapons are a third weapon you can have, so you can have a primary. You can have a primary, your pistol, and a third weapon. There's only two that we've heard about, and that's a 50 cal sniper and the piglet grenade launcher. I think those are fine. Honestly speaking, I think the third weapon slot in Payday the Heist is what made it a much more unique, shooter. Because in most shooters, they follow the Halo formula, where it's primary weapon, secondary weapon, and that's it. But in Payday the Heist, they flipped it and said, here's a third weapon, go nuts. I think that's just one of those little details that made Payday the Heist a unique shooter in its genre. Which, there's a bit of that in there with the Overkill Weapons, so eventually, and I bet you they will add the GL40 to this game, and you can eventually recreate your loadout from Payday the Heist. But with the Overkill Weapons, you only have the ammo that you get with them, and you don't start the heist with them. You have to earn them through kills. So, maybe down the road you can change it so that, or you can add a skill, or it's like, where it's like, hold on to Overkill Weapons so you don't have to drop it when you switch, or start the heist with an Overkill Weapon. Note, you cannot get one back once you've run out of ammo, or something like that. Just a balancing way to sort of make it to where if people want it, you can play it more like Payday the Heist with all three weapons on you at once. Just something like that. What else is? Oh, and going back to the other two games, Remake heists. I know I talked about this in a previous video, but I bet you my bottom dollar they will eventually remake the heists from Payday the Heist and Payday 2 and put them into Payday 3, which is something I'd like to see. I'd love to play through the original heists in Payday 1 and Payday 2 and play them with the more robust mechanics in Payday 3, like the better stealth and the better sort of loud AI and all that. I think it'd be great. Like imagine Golden Grin, but this time you're actually trespassing if you go into the back. I think that makes sense. I like that. And here's something long term that I most certainly will not be there at launch, but it is something I would like to eventually see. I want to eventually be able to play all the missions from Payday the Heist and Payday 2 in HD, in Unreal, in Payday 3. And I get the remake heists are like that, but here's something, I guess, what I'm getting at. I would love to see like a mutator or modifier like Left 4 Dead, like Left 4 Dead 2, to be able to play those missions like how they were at launch. As in, if I want to play Payday the Heist, if I want to play First World Bank in Payday 3, I would turn on like the classic modifier, and now only bulldozers will spawn, shields, tasers, snipers, cloakers, hostage rescue team, because those were the only specials that were there in Payday the Heist. And let's say I want to play rats in Payday 3, I'll turn on the Payday 2 modifier, and I can have it be only the Payday 2 versions. And maybe we can even remake the models so the bulldozer is a spaceman again, and the shield has a grate, and the taser is just black and yellow. He looks like a bee. Something like that. And it's same thing with Payday 2, the bulldozer being a bomb squad, and then the taser being blue again. And you'll spawn in the medic. I know the medic's not in there, and some people are happy about that. I think that the medic adds an interesting sort of dynamic with the other enemies. But it is what it is. But you get the idea. Just add a modifier so that you can play through these classic heists like how they are in their games, with the more robust AI and the better design of Payday 3. The guns all look, and from what I've seen, feel great. As in, They all work. They all do great damage. You don't have to really alter them or build or build out skills around them to make them good or overpowered or anything like that. They all work the same. Shotguns are like every other FPS shotgun now, where it's not sort of janky and like one pellet does all the damage like in Payday 2, which is good to see. The specials are really good now. They have a lot more abilities and they're designed well. The bulldozer's a little something. I'm a little, only slightly disappointed with the bulldozer. I think he looks a little too plain. But if he's just like a normal bulldozer and they'll get crazier in Overkill and some stuff like that, I'm fine with it. The new abilities that they have are great. The charge of the bulldozer, the cloaker using acid and running on walls, and the tasers, the shock mine, and the grenadier, or I guess nader. That's one thing that bugs me. Just going on a little side tangent. The changing of the name of the taser to zapper, it feels lame. No, I get why they did it, but the name zapper is just lame compared to taser. And I know mods are more or less up in the air, but I tell you this, bottom of my heart, as soon as a mod comes out for it that replaces the callouts of zapper with taser, I'm doing that in a heartbeat. Bags. So far, it's only still just one bag each. I think that this is a step back when it comes to all the other change that they've been doing. Payday 2 really suffers from the bags being everywhere, and I get that they're making it a much more sort of solid game, a much more sort of realistic, I guess, game with Payday 3. But this is something that I feel like taking a step back, and even in the art gallery heist, like Under the Surface or whatever they called it, I know it's beta, but in Payday 2. They had specific bags that were paintings, and I guess maybe they want to make the painting bags more obvious, so they're just the regular duffel bags, but it was nice to see that they actually were in like proper like painting rolls and not just regular duffel bags. That feels like a step back to me, and also not being able to hold two bags really feels like is a missed opportunity, I think. You can make it a part of a skill if you want. Maybe it's like you can hold two bags now, but at the cost of like transporter. But here's what I think. If you don't want to play it like that, make it so that you can hold two bags but sacrifice accuracy for it. As in, you can hold two bags with your primary weapon out, but if it's not something light shooting like an SMG, you're not really going to be hitting anything with it. Because now that you're holding two bags, let's say you got one in your back and one in your left hand, you're now just shooting your primary weapon one-handed. And unless you're holding something like an SMG, you're not really going to be hitting anything accurately enough. Or let's say you're not even able to aim down sights, so now you just have to hip fire everything and you lose accuracy. Which would maybe incentivize players to go for a pistol, because now you're going with something that you can shoot one-handed, like an SMG or a pistol. I don't know, just a change like that. I feel like not being able to hold two bags is a missed opportunity when Payday 2 really got bag heavy and crazy with it, and I would like to see a healthy change like that for Payday 3. Skills are good in loud and stealth, and there's a lot less of them now. There's only a few trees, and there's only 21 skill points. So you really have to sort of build out your deck and pick what you're good with. Not to mention, sort of builds are more or less useful in both loud and stealth now with the skills that they have, which is great to hear. It was one thing that they really tried with Payday 2 where it was pseudo-stealth, whereas you could start a heist in stealth and then finish in loud. That looks like there's something that they've gone back to with Payday 3, but this time they've really made it a bit more robust. And there's some heists in Payday 2. I know there's a strat for Big Bank when you're grinding that you start the heist in stealth but then finish in loud with the bus escape, which is good to hear. One thing I'm concerned about, because I haven't heard a lot about it, is trading teammates. If a teammate goes down, now I will say I'm not sure about this. This is just what I've heard from the people who've played it, but I don't know if trading teammates is back. Like, if you go down and into custody, it's just a timer when you get let back out and not like you're actually being held by the police. If trading hostages for your teammates is gone, I feel like that is a major misstep. That is a major misstep. That is a staple of the Payday formula, and I think that it still belongs there. And I get that there's the meme where it's like, you know, a man who's killed hundreds of police, a single hostage. And I get killing hostages also, it hurts your payout now, and it also, you know, it wouldn't make sense that if you've killed all these people, the cops would just willy-nilly trade you back for a single hostage. And I get that. Here's an idea, if you want to just not put the system back the way it was in Payday 1 and Payday 2. Have it be that, you know, if you kill civilians / if you've been killing a lot of cops and this heist's been going on for a while, now it takes multiple hostages to trade for your teammate. Maybe now instead of we'll just take the one guy, is like give us 5 hostages and then we'll give you your teammate back. I don't know, I just feel like if trading hostages for teammates is gone entirely for custody, I think that's a major misstep. Stealth. Stealth looks really good. It's a lot like Hitman now when it comes to zones where there's hostile zone and the trespassing zones or secure area, public area, stuff like that. It looks really good. And the fact that you can do stuff now in casing mode without having to put your mask on is such a great change. Such a great change. Because realistically, you'd be able to do everything without a mask on. But, you know, just for the sake of balancing, it's a great thing. The cameras don't suck anymore. I'll just put it like that. And the way is that if you get spotted by a camera, you don't immediately fail the heist. You just go from stealth into search, which is great. I love it. And the fact that you can shoot cameras now and there's no Titan cameras. That is something that is amazing. More ways to move around the maps are always good. You know, ventilation shafts and ladders and scaffolding. Just ways to move around unseen. It's just such a good way. It's such great map design. More tools are always a great thing. The spy camera, the sticky spy camera that you can place on walls, the distraction mines. There's a clip of like a stun of a stun grenade, or not really grenade. It's sort of like a quiet stun device going off. And the fact that you can overload cameras to become a stun device in themselves. Just a great thing. That and the phone. Such great additions to the formula. And pagers are better now, so answering 5 pagers just doesn't end the heist now. It just spawns in a guard who has an infinite pager, a lot like Framing Frame. The guard that spawns in Framing Frame if you've killed 4 guards, which is it's great to hear. Not to mention, you can just infinitely answer the pager and carry the guy out in stealth and never break it. Great. And then moving bodies and civs are so much better now as a whole, to where you don't need to run out of body bags or do anything like that. I think the body bags things were just legit sort of like diesel jank thing. But, you know, no more running out of body bags, no more running out of zip ties. You can just pick up a body and carry it to another place, and you can just take a civ hostage and march them over to where they need to go. Along with, you know, leading them. They're much better at following now. That and listening to, you know, getting them on the floor and tying them. So much better, so much better. Weapons customization is still present, with more in-depth customization available to really get in there and customize each distinct part of a weapon. You know, the hammer, the trigger, the slide, the grip. I'm all down for it. If I'm able to recreate my favorite weapon setups from across media, I'd be happy. I.e., I'll be happy if I'm able to recreate the design of the Silver Ballers, both designs. And that's about it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz. I'm gonna go now. See you guys.